All right, hello guys. So again, recap from yesterday. Yesterday we just inputted our first purchase order. Now, a purchase order is a non-transaction, meaning it doesn't really affect any accounts that has happened because in order to record a transaction, it is it requires, it requires two things, okay? It requires you to receive items and or if you receive a bill, because then you initiate the accrual process, right? You start to begin to expand your accounts payable and you start, you received inventory, which is considered increasing your assets. So a purchase order actually does not function much because there is no actual transaction going on. All you are doing is you're just requesting for inventory and they just give you a quote, a temporary number. That number can change because, due to shipping, shipping fees, if you need these items now, expedited shipping, you may have to pay sales tax for it. In this case, we don't have to because we're good friends with this vendor. And on top of that, like they also provide to us, and since we are a business, we get tax exempt, or we get exempt from sales tax. So there, but there's are also many other features that can be included as far as part of your inventory. However, this purchase order serves no real transaction. That's why it's called a non-transaction, right? It's just us asking for stuff. There's no physical or anything, but our purchase order gives us details on exactly what we need to order. So again, if we look at our bill tracker, we notice that we have our invoice here. Okay, so this is what we did yesterday. Here we inputted it for April 17 to Ace Supply and gives us a little description of exactly what kind of inventory item part we are ordering. And in this case, we ordered 20 of the metal and 40 of the wooden picture frames. Okay. So as you can see, this is what it cost us to purchase it for. So now that I have that, I'm going to go ahead and close this out. And there are actually a few things that you can do when you are receiving inventory, okay? So let's go to my homepage real quick. And what you're going to see here on the homepage is if you see this little drop down triangle, you're going to see that you have two options to choose how to receive your inventory. You have one, you can receive the inventory with the bill, or you can receive inventory without a bill. Now, it is very common that if you make a purchase like of a lot of things, or maybe they can't ship too many things in one box. So what they're going to do is they're going to send you multiple shipments, and you're going to get a a packaging slip instead of a bill. Okay. And what the packaging slip does is it gives you the details of exactly how many shipments there are. So it keeps track for you how many shipments there are and how many items are in each shipment. So then when you get your bill, you can compare it to how many shipments you received, and is this everything, or are you still pending on a few shipments? So it's very good that you keep track of all of your packaging slips, just to ensure that you received all of your inventory. Okay. And when we go ahead and click the receive without a bill, you're going to get what's called an item receipt. Okay. An item receipt is more or less the same thing as you receiving your inventory, and it's your packaging slip. So let's go ahead and look at all the possible ways you can get to a package, to get to the item receipt. So you can go to your vendor center, which is either one, the home page, two, the icon bar under vendors, or you could do three, menu bar, vendor center, vendors on the menu bar, and then you click vendor center. Now, if you click the menu bar, you can also scroll down and you would also be able to see receive items and enter bill, or receive items. Now, this is in different contexts, in different terminology, but it does the same thing because you're receiving items, but you're technically not going to enter a bill right away. So this is the one that you want to do when you want to get your item receipt. You're going to go ahead and click just receive items. Okay, so that is a fourth way. And then I'm going to go ahead and go to the vendor center. And I'm going to go ahead and be able to go up here, new transactions, which you can also receive items for. If I were to right click my vendor, so I want to receive items from Ace Supply, I right click it, and I also get a receive items here. And if I've already clicked his name, I click the vendor's name, I can go down to the bottom and go to manage transaction, and this time it's going to be item receipt. Okay, so there are again a lot of ways to get to the same places, but you want to be careful on terminology because essentially they have options for you, but they actually do the same function. So again, when we looked at the previous ways, all of them said receive items. This one on the home page and on the manage transaction, you actually see items received. Okay, so and then our last way we can explore that is to go to our handy dandy bill tracker and be able to go bottom, manage transaction, and you also get to oh, I guess you can't do it here. You can make a purchase order, but you can't. Oh, that's weird. I could have sworn I saw it last time, but I just did this problem like 2 minutes ago and it was there. But I guess you don't have it here. Okay. That's very strange. Anyways, so I guess you don't have it on the bill tracker. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and right click my Ace Supply, and I'm gonna go ahead and receive items from him. All right, and here it already populates the vendor's name. Okay, I go ahead and validate that. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and click tab, and then it's gonna pop up this window saying, "Hey, you have a purchase order associated with this, a purchase order that's associated with this vendor. Do you want to utilize it for the item receipt?" And you're gonna click yes. And what's going to happen is you're going to pop up this little window that tells you exactly what kind of purchase order you have from this person. And I'm going to go ahead and say, yes, this is the purchase order that I want to receive the items against. Okay, so here I'm going to make sure I change the date for this too, saying that we received it, we received it. Since we bought it on the 17th, usually it takes 7 to 10 business days. So because I bought it on a Friday, I'm going to assume that I'm going to receive it Monday the 27th. Okay? And what's going to happen is it's going to automatically fill everything as if you received the entire items. But in this case, the example tells us, no, we only received 10 of the metal frames and we only received 20 of the wooden frames, okay? We only received half our shipment. And, okay, so this is us telling us, oh, we only received half the shipment. That means upon the second part of our shipment, we should receive the rest of our inventory. Okay, so what's gonna happen? I'm gonna go ahead and click save and close, and I should get the beep of approval. And if I were to go back into my purchase orders again, what's gonna happen is it should give you the total amount here. But what's gonna happen is if I were to do it again, it would actually show up for the remaining amount of inventory I'm supposed to be receiving. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and click out of that one. Okay, so that's what happens when it becomes an item receipt. Now, the question is, what happens after that? So far we received half of the products, okay? We received it on the 27th, okay? And I believe the example in the book says that you're going to have to rinse and repeat and go ahead and do the second portion to receive the rest of the items, okay? But I'm also going to be checking out, look at where the rest of my orders are. So here we have a open purchase orders report. And so I'm going to go ahead and view that so that I know where the rest of my shipment is on hand, or what have I actually received, because all we received was half of it. And, you know, I didn't order that much. But who knows? Maybe the boxes are too heavy. They're on back order. We don't know. So we're kind of curious on where the rest of our inventory is, or is the vendor still shipping us the rest of our stuff? So I'm going to go ahead and scroll down here and go to inventory. And I'm in purchases, sorry, my purchases. And what's going to happen is you have purchase by vendor, purchase by item. You can have your open purchase orders, which if I were to click that, what's going to happen? It's going to populate this exact purchase order here. And what if I were to click on it, it should show me my purchase order right here saying I have 20 of those items. So I have a pending purchase order. If you notice here on the actual bottom right or middle of the right side, you're going to notice that our total bill is for $243, correct? And here our recent transaction is that we actually received half of the items. So therefore, we're pending on the other half of the item. So here we notice that we've received half of it. Okay? So here it gives us automatically telling us, well, we're still waiting on for the rest of the inventory. And yes, so this gives you a little synopsis saying right here that we received half the inventory and we're pending on the other half. Okay, and all right, so let's go ahead and look at the next one. So here we're going to be checking purchase order status. So I'd be able to look at the status. I can do it. I'd be able to do it. I don't know if this is. Let me see if this is the same report. Purchase order. by double clicking. So here I already opened it, and you can see that the status on it is still pending. Okay. So all right. So those are the couple of reports that you can look at as far as where your items are, how many left things that you need to do, and how to look at the status. So already right there, we know that we need to look up for the rest of the items here. So again, that's the status of our activity. I'm going to see what other reports I can do for purchases. Purchases. So I could do purchase orders by detailed job or items. Okay, so other than that, that's how you'd be able to look at what you need to look at. Okay. So now it tells us to complete our final transaction here. It says to go ahead and receive the final shipment. And it's going to tell me to do the same thing. We're going to go ahead and receive the items without a bill for the second time. And this is us, okay? And then you're going to see what happens when I do receive the rest of the items and how I actually convert it into a bill. Okay, so I'm going to go exit out of this. And I'm going to go ahead and go on to my home page. I want to do it this way. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and receive the rest of my items without a bill. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and type in a supply, right? If we type in anybody, if it's a vendor or whatever it is, well, typically, because we're doing an item receipt, we're dealing with vendors. So if I were to type in my vendor and I were to go ahead and click tab, it's going to automatically associate the same exact PO, or it's going to pull up all my purchase orders. So again, here I acknowledge that, yes, it is from this purchase order. And I'm going to click OK. And once I've done that, if you notice, what happens is it fills in the remaining shipment for you. So it automatically knows that you're supposed to be pending on the other half of the purchase order. I'm going to go ahead and toggle the date and say maybe we received it 3 days later. Okay, we received it on the 30th of April. And what's going to happen is it's going to be for the total of the remaining half. And again, it gives you here, you received 10 more items and 20 more of the wooden frames. And then you're going to acknowledge it and just go ahead and validate it here. Save and close. Now, if I were to go to my vendor center, right? And if I were to click a supply, which is already there, you're going to notice the transaction that has occurred was first your purchase order, then you had a sales receipt, an item receipt, and then another item receipt. So you received shipment number 1 and then shipment number 2. Okay? Now what's going to happen is I am going to actually close this out, and what happens is now I'm going to go ahead and click enter bill against inventory. If I were to click that, I notice that I get this little pop-up window and it tells me, well, who am I looking at? What am I looking at? I'm going to look at Ace Supply, okay? Once I click this vendor, it populates to me 2 item receipts that I have collected so far. And I am going to click one at a time because it doesn't allow you to click all. It only allows you to click one item receipt at a time. Okay? Use item receipt date for the bill date. No, I received the bill later than than the actual shipment. So I'm gonna click OK. And what you notice is the item receipts, boom, converts straight into a bill. And what you're gonna notice is you're gonna have the same format as the bill, but this time you're only being billed for half of the items. I'm gonna go ahead and say that I received this bill a couple days after the shipment. So I received this bill on let's say May 4th, okay? And I'm gonna make sure it's for this amount. Reference number, I'm gonna go ahead and write 2020. Actually, I'm gonna go ahead and write PO. 2020 dash 2 1 no 2. This is the second one, and I'm going to make sure that everything looks fine. Do I need to put a memo in here? I could say received half of it. Because automatically when I put the vendor in here, it automatically says, well, if you pay within 10 days, they'll give you a discount. So I'm going to go ahead and validate all the information saying that I received this information, and I'm going to go ahead and click Save and Close. Then it's going to give you a pop-up saying you have changed the transaction, and I'm going to go ahead and click Yes. Okay, so if I were to go back into my vendor center, okay, and I go to Ace Supply, look here, I converted my item receipt into a bill. Okay, so you see how before it said item receipt and purchase order. Now this time, because I received the inventory against, I received the bill against the inventory, I converted all of my item receipts, or just my first item receipt, into a bill. All right, and I'm going to go ahead and click this and see if I can be able to convert this into a bill. And it seems as if I cannot. So I'm going to go ahead and, wait. Okay, I just clicked that button and boom. It converts my item receipt straight into a bill. So it's not an actual icon, it's a little checkoff button right here that says bill received. And if you notice, it's for the same amount, and I'm going to say for the same date. So May 4th is it, okay? And I'm going to go ahead and reference number this as PO 2020-1. Okay, that's for my purchase order number 1. Okay, so I forgot to change that on the other one. So here again, I'm being received for the same exact number for the half of the bill. And I'm going to go ahead, save and close. And yes, I do want to change this transaction. So again, now that I've converted my item receipt, they both became bills. And I'm going to go ahead and fix this one real quick. Every time you enter in anything into QuickBooks, you do have the capability to edit the information if it is very necessary. I just realized that I wrote the wrong PO number, so I'm going to go ahead and edit that small piece of information, and I'm going to click Save and Close, and yes. Okay, keep number. All right, so here, I noticed that just to keep my reference the same, these two bills, they are alike. However, they are two separate ones, but they all associate with this one item receipt. This one purchase order, just so that you keep it in track and keep it in order. All right. So that is what happens when you receive inventory and now you have two bills to pay. And then if you notice, look, my account for Ace Supply has increased. I'm so sorry. it has increased by the purchase order that I received. So that means I owe this vendor $200 instead of the $123. So they combine them all together. Okay? So that is what happens when you receive inventory using the receive inventory without a bill. Okay? All right. And yeah, okay. And go ahead and read this section down here. It is something that is important in case scenarios like this happen, which it does happen often. When if in case they overship you too many items, and they didn't charge you for it. Now you have a few options. You can either pay for it or you can return it. Another thing is if a I just went over. Okay, so if they have a shipment that's in back order again, what you can do is you can cancel your order, or you can just keep waiting and pend on it. Other things that you can also look at is if a vendor overcharges you. So for example, you only received a few things, but they bill you for the wrong amount. You can go ahead. The very first thing you should do is call the vendor and make sure that you tell them this. But for this example, I'm gonna have you guys go ahead and read this information, just because I do not want to mess anything up as far as with this bill that I have received. Okay. Now I am going to actually show you the other option. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and create another, order, or another purchase order from the same vendor. Oops, I accidentally clicked something. I'm going to exit it out. So again, let's say, in between me trying to receive that, I am going to create another purchase order, because I'm going to show you what happens if you created a purchase order and you received the inventory with the bill. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and validate that. Let me see, my class is Walnut Creek, and this is going to be purchase order number 2. And let's say in the meantime, while I was waiting for my stuff to get shipped in, I made a purchase order on the 30th, because I didn't know where the rest of my items were going to be. I didn't know when they were going to be coming in. So I decided to go ahead and place another order for, let me see. So we're going to do metal picture frames. Okay, we're going to do 10 of these. Okay, and we're going to do for the wooden, we're going to do 20 of them, because we didn't know where the heck the rest of our stuff was going to be. So we ordered it on that date. And again, making sure everything is fine. And I'm going to go ahead and validate another purchase order. And what happens is I am going to actually go ahead and click receive inventory, but this time I'm going to receive it with a bill. And what you're going to notice is you don't have an item receipt if you go straight into the bill. Okay? So here I'm going to validate that a supply, and here it says you have a purchase order that's associated with it. Would you like to apply? And I say yes, and it's for this one. I'm going to click OK, and this time I received this one. I'm going to say May 11th, a week after I received the first bill, right? And I received both items with the bill. So I'm going to go ahead and put PO 2022. and I want to make sure that I validate everything here, that I received my second purchase order, and yes, and I'm going to go ahead and click save and close. Now, if you go ahead and look back in our vendor center, you're going to see 2 purchase orders and 3 bills, okay? So that is the only difference when you are receiving items either with a bill or without a bill, okay? If you do without a bill, you're going to get an item receipt, and then you're going to have to do the receive items against inventory, okay? I'm sorry, enter bill against inventory, okay? Whereas if you were to just receive it with a bill, it goes straight into the bill process, and that's it. You don't need to do anything other further than that. And as far as the work behind QuickBooks, it's automatically proceed all your purchase orders. It received the inventory, and now it's placed into the inventory asset account. Okay, so here, if you notice, my bill has increased by another $100, which is correct, and my inventory has also increased by significantly with the extra value I have entered in with that extra purchase order. So if I were to go ahead and close out this, or actually what I can do is I'm actually able to see how many items I have on hand. So I can go ahead and go to reports, and I'm going to go down to inventory, and I'm going to go ahead and I can either check out, I could do inventory either by the vendor, or I could do by items, or actually wait, not by items. I can look at stock status. So this is basically by item. So I'd be able to check out that within the month of April, I have currently my picture frames, right? I have currently now 25 of the metal frames, and then I have 20 of the wooden frames. And then here I just increased my inventory on hand. So my on hand is 52 and 60, okay, for those items. Okay, so here I get to see my items and see how much I have on hand at all times with a given report. All right. Okay, so the next portion talks about how to adjust inventory. Okay, for any reason that you so there are 2 reasons why we can adjust inventory, okay? And we will learn this in accounting if you guys go ahead and move on with me. So there are 2 ways you can change, or 2 reasons why you need to adjust inventory. One of those reasons is, let's say I received a shipment and I return the items, but I forget to post it in my QuickBooks, right? That's the reason. That could be a reason why. Another reason why you could do it is when you go downstairs, right, into your inventory warehouse, wherever you locate it, whether it's your basement, your office, wherever you place your inventory, you take a physical count, and you notice that your physical count does not match your inventory on hand right here. Maybe you returned something. Maybe you sold something and never recorded it. Okay? So for any of that reasons, or maybe those items are defected and you can't sell those items anymore. You can't make any changes to those items because they don't work, and you are way past your return policy with your vendor. Okay, so what you can do this if your inventory on hand after you take a physical count is, if it's not 52 or if it's less than that, that is a reason why you need to adjust your inventory. You can adjust it either the for the a number of items that you physically have, or you can actually, so you can do quantity, and the second one is going to be the value, okay? So for example, let's say I took a discount. If I got to take a discount, that means the number of my items that I have on hand, I purchased it for a lower amount. And by doing that, I have to adjust my inventory because I didn't purchase my inventory for the $5. I purchased it for $4.95. Just example, okay? If I were to take a discount, okay? And that often happens, especially if your vendors provide you some kind of discount offer, any deals, any sales, or anything like that. They can, that's the only reason why you would be able to adjust your inventory that way. So again, I'm going to go ahead and show you the first example, which is to adjust the quantity. And I am going to go ahead and, hold on, let me see which one goes first. Is it the quantity for the metal frames? Okay. Quantity, and adjust the press tab, and where is it? Okay, inventory variance. Okay, so it doesn't really say, but I'm gonna go ahead and proceed with the example. Now, because I actually increased the value of, I increased the quantity of my my inventory, so therefore my numbers will definitely not match in the book. However, it is the same process, okay? So because I added that extra purchase order to show you how to enter that extra bill. So my numbers are not going to be the same as the book. Now, here we can go to inventory activities, and what happens is there's also a little triangle here, okay? If I were to click that, I get to either adjust my inventory on either the quantity or the value on hand, okay? So that is one way you can do it via on the home page. The second way you could do it is you can also do it through the vendor menu bar. You could scroll down to inventory activities, and you can also adjust it here as well. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and click it through here, and I'm going to get this little window here saying what do I want to adjust the quantity for. And again, I'm going to do it on a later date. I'm going to do it on the 18th, saying, okay, now I don't have, so on the 18th, I took a physical count of my metal frames. Okay, let's go ahead and deal with the metal frames first. Okay, and here it's going to automatically tell you here that you currently have 52 on hand. Now, you have the option. You can either choose to adjust the quantity, or you can adjust the value. I'm sorry, wait. Yeah, the quantity and, okay, never mind. At the top, you're going to have to choose here whether you're going to choose either to adjust the quantity, or you're going to adjust the total value, or you can do both. So again, if you were to return items, right, and you forgot, or let's say it dropped significantly lower in the market value, which is something I totally forgot to tell you. That was the second reason why you would change the value is if over time, when you're dealing with inventory, and if you keep these inventory items in your inventory for a quite significant a long amount of time, aka if it has a long shelf life, or if you're in the store that sells electronics, you can guarantee that the value of your items will not be the same if you don't sell those items in the current time. Okay, so let's say, for example, I'm a computer shop and I bought the latest 2018 laptop, and because it didn't do so well because it's one of those knockoff brands, I still have it and it's 2020. That laptop is not going to be the same value as I purchased it 2 years ago in 2018. It's going to lose its value dramatically and very significantly. Okay, so that is the second reason why you would change the value of your inventory. Okay, so the first value would be if you were to return something. Second one would be due to lower cost of market. And again, that is something we will learn in accounting. All right, so and then what you can do is you can change both for any reason that has happened. You can change both at any given point in time. So in this case, I want to change my quantity, and I'm going to go ahead and go over here, and I'm going to say, well, the quantity I have on hand as of right now is 52. So since the last time I've checked, or since the last time I've sold something, I didn't really make any sales for the metal frames. But when I went down to my basement or warehouse, I realized I don't have 52. I'm missing 2 of them. I only have 50. So someone, on the other hand, never recorded a sale, or maybe they accidentally packaged it and gave it away for free. I don't know. Maybe we had a promotional sale, or a promotion where, if you buy one, you get one free. Okay? So in this case, I went down to my warehouse and I actually only counted physically, I only have 50 items. And what happens here, it's going to change the amount of quantity. And if you go ahead and click save and close, you'd be able to save this new number. Okay, for my memo, I'm going to go ahead and write physical count on hand, and yeah, and then I'm going to go ahead and click save and close. And what happens is, once I save it, now my new inventory is going to be for 50 items. Okay, I'm also going to show you what happens if I want to change the value of my inventory. So again, same step process. You're gonna view this same exact window, and this time I'm also going to be on the 18th. I'm actually going to change the value of my value of my items. So in this case, I'm going to say my wooden frames, okay? Even though it's very expensive to do the wooden frame, what happened is the woods actually got I'm gonna say it got more expensive, okay? Due to the lack of wood, right? So I'm gonna go ahead and say it actually jumped up $50 in total for those 60 amount of items. And what happens here, if I were to do 350 and I click, and I'm going to say value of wood has increased. All right. Then I'm going to go ahead and save and close. Once I get those two beef of approvals, I'm going to go ahead and do a quick report on the value of my inventory. So I'm going to go to inventory, and I think I'm going to do stock by item. Or I could do my inventory valuation summary. And here it gives me a little breakdown of how many items I have left. If you notice, my metal frames, I no longer have 52, I have 50. All right. For my wooden ones, I have 60, but the value of it has increased significantly. As you can see, it's changed to 350 now. Okay. And just by one click of a button, you've changed the value of the inventory quantity as well as the total value and cost of each one. And again, with those additions, here it gives you how much it's going to cost you approximately each one. So here's the average of each one. If I looked at this earlier, it would have been a lot different. But in this case, here you can see that on average, it's going to cost me, instead of $5, it's going to cost me $5.83 to purchase one picture frame. So it went drastically, significantly higher. Okay, so for those examples, that is exactly what happens when you're dealing with that kind of inventory, right? If you're changing the value of the inventory, or if you increase or decrease it by the quantity. Okay, so again, there are many reasons why that happens. Okay, and yes, all right. So now that we've gone over inventory, adjusting the quantity and value, now let's go ahead and proceed to the next section, which is going to be introducing to you group items. So actually, that's actually funny. A couple of you guys actually selected on your exam that you said that one of the items is a category that is not a category would be a group item. And actually, it is an actual item. And today, I am going to show you how to create a group item. All right. So let's say, for example, I am in, right, my whole purpose of my business is to be a professional photo shoot / videographer, right? So my main purpose and core of my business is to sell my service, right? To do hour-long photo sessions or video sessions, whatever it is. However, what I can do is I can create packages for my customers that give them bigger bang for their buck, they would call it. Or, I can actually give them, hey, if you purchase my service, I can offer you a package that includes a photo shoot, and you can also receive a free, not a free, but it also includes a picture frame. Okay, so that is what a group item is actually used for. So I'm going to go ahead and go to items and services. And what's going to happen is I'm going to create an item where it includes 1 hour service as well as a picture frame. Okay, so with that nice little package and bundles, yes. So for example, yes. So in case you do have those bundle packages, those savers, or for your customers even, you can offer a picture frame either free or it's included with the cost. You can do a lot with this, and what it does is when you're doing, it's pretty straightforward. You want to group 2 or more items together and create a package, or sell that item as one instead of selecting the items one at a time, right? You can actually group them together and charge them one full price, okay? So in this case, I'm going to show you the very first one, which is I'm going to go to the items, and I'm going to go ahead and click new. So I get the same familiar item, this item window. And instead of doing an inventory part, I am actually going to create a group. Okay, so I can't find my mouse. So I'm going to go ahead and create a group. And what's going to happen is you're going to see that there is going to be items that you can choose as far as creating this package. And then this package, I believe it's called, let's see what it's called. So, new item button, and this is going to be a group, and it's going to be a 5x7 retouching package. Okay, so this is going to include the picture frame, and it's going to also include retouching, which is a service that we charge separately, right? To professionalize your photographs and place it into a 5x7 wooden frame. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and enter in all that information right here. So this is going to be called 5x7 5x7 retouching. Wait, is there frame? Is there the word frame in there? Let me see. 5x7. It's just 5x7 retouching. Okay. In the description, I'm gonna go ahead and say, retouching. Retouching photograph, and place it in a 5x7 wooden frame. Okay, so that is exactly what my package includes. Now it's gonna ask me, do I want to print the items on print the items in group? It's up to you. You can just leave the package the way it is, but if you do select this, what happens is when you bill or when you invoice your customer, it's going to show them exactly what the package includes itemized. Okay, so it's going to give you a list of the items that is included in the package. And generally, you do want to send them that information so they know what to expect and what they're getting for the price that they're paying for. So here is going to include retouching, and it's going to include the 5x7 wooden frame. Okay. Then it's going to ask for quantity. I think the quantity is 1 each. Let's go ahead and view our picture down here. And okay, so we get retouching for 3 and the picture frame for 1. Okay. All right. So we give them 3 photos that they can retouch, but they only get to frame 1. Okay. Once we've acknowledged all of this information, then we can go ahead and click next. Or okay. And then here, so now we created an item, a group item that includes both the repackaging and the picture frame right here. And we can sell it to our customers. Now for this one, it's very important to know that obviously when you combine two of the items together, right? You're gonna notice that maybe I don't know how much the retouching is, but the picture frame is gonna cost you $5.80 no, actually no, we're selling it for $9.99. So if I were to sell this package, it's going to be based on what I've placed in the items previously. So if my picture frame is $9.99 and each retouching is about, I think it's about $95. Let me go ahead and check. So I'm gonna go ahead and click OK, and I'm gonna go ahead and look at my retouching services. So if I were to look at my retouching services, right? It says that I'm selling it for $95 each. So if I multiply that by 3, okay, so that's roughly 200, 95 times 3. That's roughly $285 plus my $9.99 picture frame, right? So my grand total is going to be $294.99 for me to sell to my customer. But the great thing about when you're doing group items is when you get to the invoice, you can actually change the amount, because most bundle packages, they are offered at a lower price. They're not going to be two items that you smash together and say, this is how much I sell my items for. I'm not going to give you a discount on top of it. It's not a bundle package then. I know that some services do that just so then you can, instead of having you charge separately, you just charge one time. But if I were to charge my customer that, right, then I'd be able to change it if I want to. Okay, so I don't have to go ahead and proceed with that amount. I can go ahead and give them a completely different amount if I wanted to. So yes, so if you want to see that example, if I were to go here and let's say I'm gonna have Cruz Maria. All right, she's one of our customers, and I think she is San Jose, if I'm not mistaken. Okay. All right, I think my computer froze, so I will call it a break here since I can't continue. All right, I have to restart my program. So I'm going to go ahead and call it a quick break here.